Let's stand for a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning. We're just so grateful for the rain and for the cooler weather. Lord, you've just really sent a blessing to us, and we just pray that there will be sufficient rain, but not so much that we'll have flooding in our area. Please protect us from any flash floods that might be detrimental to our citizens' property or their health or their vehicles. Lord, we just come today to possibly conclude the budget and tax rate time of year, and we just thank you for the guidance that you have provided for us through our auditor's office, through these commissioners. We just pray, Lord, that the right decisions will be made. We pray for the other items on this agenda, Father, that we would make wise decisions in each of those and always remember our obligation to this community and to the taxpayers. We pray for our first responders, Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, our firefighters, our emergency medical workers. We pray for those that serve our country, fighting for us out of town, out of the country. We pray for their future safe return. Lord, we just turn this agenda over to you in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good morning. Such a nice change not to have to be dealing with 100-degree heat and drought and continued fear of fire. We hope that this rain will go a long ways to helping in all those areas. Today is the 22nd day of August 2022. It's just after 9 a.m. This is our second regular meeting of the month. And we will begin with item number 1, public comment time. This is an opportunity for anyone to make comments or request information on non-agenda items in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Of course, you may speak or ask questions on any other agenda item. Is there anyone that would like to address the court at this time? If not, I'll move to item number 2. We have a couple of sets of minutes. The first one in item number 2 is to consider and possibly approve the minutes from our meeting 2 weeks ago to the day, August 8th. That was our first meeting of the month. We have a set of minutes there for your consideration and approval.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the August 8th minutes is made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
One I heard was from Commissioner Parker as a second. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 3 was a meeting 1 week ago. We had a special meeting to primarily get a notice of no burning. That was essentially, I'll call that a burn ban that needed Commissioners Court approval. We put that into effect for 90 days unless we cancel it sooner. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. We also spoke about the Texas Historic Commission renderings on the facade of the annex, and then we talked about a spreadsheet provided for us regarding ARPA funds from Mark Taylor. That was that second, so it wasn't a regular meeting but a special meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 15, 2022, made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 4 is a report from commissioners on roadwork status. I'll start with Commissioner Parker today.
We've been still been side cutting down around Chapel Hill School, trying to get some of those roads straightened out for the first of school to start, and we started scabbing some roads last Wednesday until we started getting that rain on Thursday. We had to pull off of that. Had to pick up several trees and limbs and stuff that had come down, but other than that, that's about it.
All right, thank you.
We got County Road 3425 ready to chip seal, 35, 34, 40, 34, 30, and two. We've got about 4.5 miles of road we got ready to chip seal. Jack not be able to do it right now with the rain. But we'd had some side cutting and picking up trees.
You think you'd still get to it this year, though?
Oh yeah, once it dries up, we'll be able to put it in. But it's ready.
Thank you, Commissioner Fitch.
All right, we had a few trees go down on us in the last 2 weeks that we cleaned up. We had one went down Friday night we went out on. We've been doing side cutting all over the precinct, different places. We worked on paving some soft spots on 1220, 1240, and 1150. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Parchman.
We've been doing a lot of work on Enter County Road 1200, pulling ditches, replacing quite a few culverts that were rotted out. We've been doing some scabbing and doing patching.
That it? All right, thank you, everyone. Item number 5, we have a string of items here, all of which relate to approval, consideration thereof of the 2022-2023 budget and the tax rate. A couple of these are additional items over what we've had in the past, but with Barbara's guidance here, I think we've got all of these laid out, and we'll approach these in this order. First of all, item number 5 is time for public hearing on the proposed budget for this upcoming year that begins October 1 of 2022 and continues through September 30th of 2023. We had proposed a budget back a couple of weeks ago, so again today we will have a hearing. We will consider and possibly approve setting the salaries of the elected officials, and then consider and possibly adopt the budget in that order. So at this time, at 11 minutes after 9, I'm going to open up the floor for anyone that would like to address the court on the 2022-2023 budget. In days gone by, we had lots of folks in this room 9-10 years ago. Still is equally important today as it was then, whether there are people in the audience or not. So anyone want to make a comment on the budget? Is that us or the police? Or maybe that's the public making a comment out there. All right, I will not belabor this. I'll move on. At 12 after 9, I will bring the public hearing on the proposed budget to a conclusion. We will move on to item number 6, to consider and possibly approve setting the salary and expenses and other allowances of elected county officials. This was posted by our auditor's office in the newspaper on Saturday, August the 6th. And that string gave you each particular position. It gave you their new proposed salary, their expenses such as, what were some miscellaneous expenses? Cell phone, okay, certificate pay. I still think of cell phone as other allowances, but that really wasn't expenses. So cell phone expenses, and then other allowances such as travel allowance, whether it's fixed amount or whether it was a per mile basis. But again, that entire detail was published appropriately in the paper. And so if you have any questions or want to discuss any of those, we can certainly do that. But when you're ready, we do want to formally approve setting those salaries for the elected officials.
Judge Lee, there's one thing I want to add. We're
Yes.
required to provide that to each elected official before we file the budget, the proposed budget with the county clerk, and we did that by email in a timely manner. y'all all received that.
I think that's right. Yeah, I saw that with all the recipients.
I make a motion.
Motion to approve setting salary, expenses, and other allowances of elected officials is made by Commissioner Applewhite.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then we come to the third item in this trio is to consider and possibly adopt the 2022-2023 budget. Just reviewing a couple of comments that I had made a couple of weeks ago. This budget is a conservative budget. It's meant to minimize, if not completely eliminate, the need for any emergency surprises that come up during the year. And so therefore, we typically will budget our revenues conservatively. We'll budget our expenditures conservatively. And that may mean that we budget a little bit low on revenues and a little bit high on expenses, but we want to be sure that we don't have any surprises. We don't take that to an excess. I think we have a very good budget here again this year. Also a reminder that prior to 2011, back when we were seeing regular property tax value increases, back then we had the ability to increase those expenditures without increasing the tax rate. In 2022, we're not able to do that any longer, and we have a cap put on us of 3.5%. That's a limitation that came about through some legislation, and therefore you've got to be very careful as you increase this budget year after year, and to make sure that you've adequately covered your expenses. But at the same time, it's certainly our goal not to have to seek voter approval. If we exceed that 3.5% increase, we do need to get a special vote from the taxpayers. We are below that this year. This budget does include the largest pay raise to our employees, at least in my 12 years in office. That's a 10% increase total to each department. In light of that fact, we went so many years with no raises or nominal raises. I believe the 10% raise is absolutely justified, as well as the fact that we're dealing with inflation putting pressure on the county as well as it does to individuals that pay our taxes. And we're certainly trying to keep those expenses in line, but those expenses seem to be outpacing our ability to raise taxes. Without voter approval, I hope that we're able to continue to do that. Lastly, this budget's a sound document. I think it accurately reflects the anticipated revenues and expenses. Therefore, I recommend that you approve this proposed budget.
Make a motion to approve the budget.
Motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget that has been previously proposed and filed. That's made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. Any discussion, comments on this? All in favor of approval of this upcoming year budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, we'll move into the tax rate aspect. We also have a trio here of items. We will open up the floor at 9:18. This is public hearing on the proposed 2022 tax rate, which we have previously proposed at .4263. That's 42.63 cents per $100 of taxable value. And this special wording has been thrown in there, the related tax increase. So again, this is public hearing on the proposed tax rate and the related tax increase. So that no one is confused, well, we're still going to be confused. The tax rate over last year has gone down, if you just look at the numbers, by about 4 cents. However, you must factor in the fact that there are significant increases to property values And so therefore, even though we are reducing the tax rate as compared to last year's tax rate, it's still bringing in what we'll call a tax increase. And when I say tax, I'm talking about the total dollars as opposed to a specific rate. And we'll address that a little bit more here in just a moment. All right. It's public comment time. All right, it appearing there is no one that wants to make any comments on the upcoming consideration of this tax rate for the 2022 year, 0.4263 at 9:20, I will bring the hearing to an end. The second aspect of this tax rate, just to bring this to light and to emphasize this fact in the spirit of transparency, we need to consider and possibly ratify the property tax increase that is reflected in the 2022-2023 budget. This rate, although it is down over last year's rate, will raise more taxes for maintenance and operation than last year's tax rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 5.25%. That's the rate itself, that 42.63. In comparison to last year's, even though it has gone down, it is effectively a 5.25% increase, and it will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $21.25. This is part of the order that we are going to sign. Each of the five of us will sign this. This will become public record. So again, it's important that we try to comprehend the fact that although the rate is down, the collections are up, and so therefore the rate is effectively 5.25% higher than the previous year. So we want to acknowledge that fact. We need to approve that fact. Barbara, is there any other wording we need to disclose there? So I will entertain a motion again to bring this tax increase to light and have Commissioners Court approval for that if you're so inclined.
All right, I moved that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.4263, which consists of
Well, hold on.
I don't
That's the next one. That's the next one.
Then we just
That's
need
going to
to
be
approve
in. That's going to be in item number 9. All we're doing here is we're acknowledging the fact that the tax rate, that it includes a tax increase, an effective tax increase.
I make that motion that we approve that and we acknowledge that there's an effective tax increase.
All right. Item number 9 is motion comes from Commissioner Fitch to ratify that property tax increase.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None are opposed. And then lastly, as part of consideration of the tax rate, item number 10, this is the big one. Consider and possibly approve a tax rate of 0.4263. That's 42.63 cents per $100 of valuation for the 2022 year. That breaks down as 37.3734 or 37 cents, 0.34 for maintenance and operation, and 5.29 cents for the interest and sinking fund. We use that old-fashioned word, but that is basically for debt service. So consider and possibly approve the overall tax rate of 0.4263 for the year 2022. And this does require some special wording, which the commissioners have before them, and although it would be easy just to say, I approve it, we've got to approve this in a very specific way as spelled out by the law.
All right, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of .4263, which consists of .3734 for maintenance and operations and .0529 for debt service, which is effectively a 5.25% increase in the tax rate as compared to current year.
And Joyce, we've got that written down. I'll give you a copy of that, exactly how we want it in the minutes. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Fitch in very specific terms, but essentially it approves our tax rate that was previously proposed 2 weeks ago, .4263.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, Barbara and your staff. Thank you, commissioners. We'll move on to item number 11. Consider and possibly approve bids for the following items. We've got three. One is road materials, road oil and emulsions, and culverts. Barbara, you want me to make my best stab at beginning this, or do you want to interject anything initially?
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. First of all of these bids were published in the local newspaper on July the 27th and August the 3rd of this year. The deadline was August 15th at 4:30, and Barbara opened these bids on August 16th of last week. Okay, road materials. We received these bids from H.E. Span on August 15th at 11:23 in the morning. That was hand-delivered. That was on time. We received R.K. Halls on August 1st. Obviously, that met the deadline. We received Seton Construction on August the 15th at 10 o'clock in the morning. That was received in time. We received WMCCP Solutions. Do we know them by another name from the past?
Waste.
Waste Management. Okay, CCP Solutions. That's going to be just for ash, I guess.
Yes.
We received that on August 4th at 11:49. So those four bids were all received in a timely fashion. Was there anyone else that didn't get theirs in on time?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's flip down through here. We'll start with Seal Coat Aggregate. H.E. Span, $51.11. That's without any surcharges, and we'll talk about fuel surcharges in a minute. Fuel surcharge of $2.61 at 14%. So tell me exactly what that means, Barbara. I read it and I still wasn't real sure of what their charge meant. Let me flip to mine.
Yes, sir. Mr. Span requested that we allow him to put a fuel charge on our current contract, and at that time, commissioners agreed that we would approve that, but it's based on the U.S. Energy Department website, and they have let me read it to you. The cost of fuel will be based on the U.S. Energy Information Administration Gulf Coast gasoline and diesel retail prices located at the website www.eia.gov/DNAV. The initial fuel charges will be based on the value as of July 25th, which is the date closest to the initial advertising for these products. After July 25th, the fuel charge will be adjusted up or down based on the information from this website. The prices are adjusted weekly on Monday. My first question is, why are we doing the Gulf Coast? And it's because that's the only one that provides a diesel comparison. And that's what our contractors use when they bring those to us. So we approved that for the current bid at the request of Mr. Spann. And also, I've worked with Mark Taylor of Gary Traylor and Associates, because these bids, to the best of my knowledge, meet the requirements of ARPA, and we had to have that in the initial contract. So it's in here.
But looking at that fuel surcharge, what is the $2.61 and what is the 14%?
Okay, if you turn to page 7,
Got it?
page 7 and 14 is a copy, and if you look again on page 8, we have the same thing from Richard Drake. This is the information from that website on this date, and so you can see at $4 is where it was on the original date, and if you go down to the 14 cent, you can see 14% is what it was when the bid was made. So this will be updated every Monday, and then we can adjust the fuel cost so that those people who bid on this don't have to just eat the increase. The good thing is it could go up or down. So if the price of diesel were to go down, it could also go down.
And I'm looking at this chart and I see the 14%, but I still don't understand, what is that $2.61?
That's the calculation. It's 14% more than the $4 where it was at the top.
So the $2.61 is added to that 51.11?
Yes, sir.
That's where we get the 53.72.
Yes, sir.
So it's not a flat charge for everything that's delivered. It's based on however many tons. At $51.11, we're going to add $2.61 at the 14% threshold, which is where we were when the bid was made. Now, does that fluctuate each time?
Fluctuate every Monday.
Every Monday. Every time we place an order, if gas is up, we can expect a little bit higher. And if gas goes down, it's probably not going to go below that. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it'll come back down where that fuel surcharge will go away, but it's got to get down there below $4 a gallon. Okay. All right, that was the only bid on seal coat aggregate.
If you look on the cost there, we also have one from RK Hall.
Oh, I didn't look that far. Okay, that's right. That is an RK Hall figure. $64.38. Obviously, that doesn't compare as favorably to the Spann bid. We'll move on to Flex Base Ash. We have a price from Spann, $23.50. As of the time of the bidding, there was a fuel surcharge of $1.12 per ton for a total of $24.62. WMCCP gave a bid of $15. However, that must be picked up at the Welsh plant. Those were the only bids on that particular item. Bottom ash, back to a Spann bid with fuel surcharge, is $15.62. That's just over $14.50 without the fuel surcharge. Second bid provided by WM Waste Management, $6, picked up at the Welsh plant. Moving on to flexible base, 2-inch limestone. A bid only from H.E. Spann, that's $25.86. A fuel surcharge of $2.15, bringing total to $28.01. Picked up $31.50. I think they're always slightly higher than the delivered price because I guess it's better for their business model to have them deliver it to us. Moving on to 3-inch Limestone Base, also a bid only from Span. Delivered $26.61 plus $2.15. Fuel surcharge for a total of $28.76. Moving on to other size limestone. This is a 1 3/4 inch with fuel surcharge $29.76. Picked up price $31.50. That's the only bid. We go to 1 1/2 inch sandstone base, TxDOT Type A Grade 2 per ton. We've got two bids. First is from H.E. Span, $29.61 plus $2.61 surcharge for a total of $32.22. The picked up price still exceeds that at $32.50. And then we have R.K. Hall's price of $37.38 delivered, or you can pick it up at $13 in Sawyer, Oklahoma. Moving on to 1 3/4 sandstone base. Didn't realize that 1/4 of an inch makes a difference. 1 3/4 inch sandstone base, also TxDOT Type A Grade 2. The Span only bid of $30.61 plus $2.61 fuel surcharge yields $33.22. Next is Flex Space crushed iron ore gravel. And as always, it looks like we have a bid only from Seton, and that is a picked up price of $18. If you pick it up at their yard, as opposed to the Avenger location, it is $28 in Cookville. So I guess that's factoring in the price for them to get it from Avenger to Cookville. Is that how that works?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So $18 in Avenger picked up, $28 in Cookville picked up. That's a Seton only bid. We have washed pea gravel, 3/8 of an inch to number 10 price per ton. We have a bid from Span, including fuel surcharge of $2.11 is $31.91. We have the R.K. Hall delivered price of $42.38, or picked up in Sawyer, Oklahoma of $18. All right. Do we want to, before I move on to road oil, let's go ahead and approve bidders on
There's
road.
one more page of that. You have a page 5?
Yeah, okay. How come do I have it out of order there?
No, it's papers on.
That was, he had done 1, 2, and 3, the road materials, but this is
Okay.
actually road
All right.
oil that he's
So I
starting
do have
now
a
on
couple
page 4.
of more here. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. High performance, whatever that is, price per ton. That bid is provided by R.K. Hall. Delivered is $145. Picked up is $125 at the Greenville Asphalt plant. What is high performance? I ask this every year.
It's actually it's like coal mix, but it's more suitable for winter where you can put it in potholes
Potholes. Okay.
with water in them.
What I would
and
call
whatnot.
asphalt, similar to an asphalt.
Asphalt's real gooey.
It's a patch material, really what it is.
And then alternate item, which is stiff oil sand or cold mix. And the fact that it's over a couple of columns, does that mean it's a Span bid?
Judge Lee, I'm sorry. Page 3 is the end of the road material. You were correct. I turned 2 pages. So when I directed you to page 5, that's actually the second page of the road oil.
Yeah.
So you were right, we need, if it's the court's pleasure, we need to approve the road materials and then move on to the road oil.
So the road materials would be concluded with pages 2 and 3?
Yes, sir.
That's it? Okay, did I cover all those then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before we move to road oil and emulsions, which is item B,
What about that, on that bottom, page 3?
He did.
The RK Hall, Tidy Sandstone 3/8?
yeah, I did that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. All right, this is you guys' department. Anything we need to discuss here for clarification? Otherwise, I suppose you can approve this in any way that you want. Obviously, there's certain situations here where you only have one bidder.
Judge Lee, I have something I'd like to add.
Yeah.
Because these bids have to be compliant with the American Rescue Plan, what we normally do is we send the bids to every contractor that we currently use, plus anyone who has contacted you or my office expressing interest. Because we are now compliant with the American Rescue Plan, we also had to send those to every vendor in our, any county adjacent to Titus County that had a historically underutilized business. We also had to send it to Lamar County Chamber of Commerce, the Tyler Metro Chamber of Commerce. So we sent this, and as Mr. Mark Taylor described it to me, it's called casting a wide net. Because in the event we only got one bid, which you saw where we did that in some places, we have to be able to prove to the federal government that we did not exclude anyone, and we did everything we could to try to reach all those other vendors. So I just want to bring that to your attention. We were also required to get return receipts on some of those things. It was a lot more involved than the way we've done it in the past, where we can just prepare the packet and send it to the vendors to put it on our website. I just wanted to call that to your attention. To make
And so
sure it's ready.
despite that, we still have the same usual
Yes, sir.
players
Yes, sir.
in this bid process. Okay. Thank you. Well, I guess it would be my recommendation that you do as you've done in the past, and that you approve low bids here. But I guess we also have the flexibility to go to another supplier in the event that for whatever reason the supplier was unable to deliver or was unable to supply at that particular time.
Judge Lee, along those same lines, you're correct. Mr. Taylor recommends that we approve the low bid with the option for the second bid in the event the low bid is not available for whatever reason. There's also a requirement within these documents for liquidated damages. It's something new. It's only in the American Rescue Plan. In the event that the contractor can't get those items to you within 3 days after the date that you and he have both agreed, then there could be a $100 one-time charge, but that would be at the commissioner's discretion. But I was not allowed, we've never done that in Titus County that I can see, but we were not allowed to take that out because it's a requirement of the American Rescue Plan.
So it was in all of these bid
Yes, sir.
packages. They
Yes,
see
sir.
that. That doesn't sound like a real onerous.
We
Charge.
could not do away with it, but the amounts could be really insignificant when you're looking at how much money we spend in some of these contracts.
Okay.
So I think we need to approve the low bid with the other bids as secondary in the event the low bid is not able to provide the materials that you need.
Whoever can remember that the longest, would you make that motion?
Make a motion to approve the low bids on road materials and to approve the second bid if it's as needed. If we can't get a hold of the first low bid.
Okay, Commissioner Fitch makes the bid, and this is again related to item 11A, road materials.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go to item B under the same agenda item number 11. This will be road oil and emulsions. So it looks like our primary players here are Richard Drake and RK Hall. That's the only ones. Okay, we'll begin with hot oil sand. Type D rock, 9%, field sand, 85%, 1.5 oil, 6%. These are prices per ton. Delivered by Drake is $102.80. RK Hall, $93. Picked up, Richard Drake, $87.80. RK Hall, $85. So you've got a Mount Pleasant location there for RK Hall. Looks like you could pick up, I don't need to tell you all this, you all know that. You can pick it up a lot cheaper, or you can pick it up a lot cheaper here in town if you're picking it up, but you can have it delivered by Hall. And obviously they have the advantage being in Mount Pleasant. Moving on to Type D cold mix per Texas specs. Richard Drake, 103.80. This is delivered. RK Hall, $98. Picked up by, at Richard Drake location, 88.80, and the RK Hall location, $90. Type D hot mix, delivered by Drake, 113.90, delivered by Hall, $98. Picked up by Drake, at Drake, 94.80, and Hall, $90. This is Type D hot mix laid down by the vendor. We have a bid only from Drake, and that is $162.90. Minimum tons if required. What does that mean, Barbara? Minimum tons? That's
They will only do if we're going to buy 500 tons.
okay. All right, $162.90. Do we ever use that? Do we ever have them lay it down, deliver it and lay it down for us? Okay.
No.
Next component is plant mix seal, laid down. We have no bids on that. Type F cold mix, which is 1.5 oil. This is a Drake, Richard Drake only bidder. Delivered $118.90, picked up $103.90 in Paris. Then we have the high performance. This is a bid only from RK Hall. Delivered $145 or picked up $125 per ton at the Greenville Asphalt plant. As an alternate item, you have stiff oil sand or cold mix. This is a RK Hall bid, delivered $106.80 or picked up $91.80 in Paris.
That should be a Drake, I think. Good.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That is Richard Drake in Paris. Yep. High performance was Hall. The alternate stiff oil sand is Drake. And then additional notes from the vendor RK Hall. Demurrage, $120 per hour. After that, per half hour, it's calculated on the per half hour, and the freight is a 23-ton minimum. So those are all of your road oil and emissions.
We should have Ergon and
They're on over
It's
it.
on over,
For
Jeff.
the next section.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, because those are different products in these. Ergon and those other businesses did not bid on any of these items.
Oh, they did not?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What product are you talking about?
All our
Well, I was just looking at
oils and stuff.
Emulsion.
Emulsion.
That's a different category.
That's a different category than this?
Emulsion,
Road oil and road emulsion is a separate page because the vendors over there did not bid on these road oil items. They only bid on the emulsion piece.
Okay. So the one he's talking about is done at a later time?
In a few minutes when we get there, it's in this package.
be the next thing.
Okay. I still don't understand why it's not part of that, but either way, we'll get to it.
You'll
Yeah.
get it.
Ergon, Cleveland, P squared.
Yes, those are the emulsions.
All right, so this is road oil, then we'll jump over to emulsions.
Make a motion to approve all the road oil material. bids for the lowest bidder. When the secondary bidder will be the next bidder if we can't buy it at the lowest price.
Okay. Motion is to accept the low bids with the ability to purchase the second place vendor if unavailable.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll slip over to emulsions. That's page 9 of 14, if you're looking where that is in that thick pack. We received bids from Ergon, Cleveland Asphalt, and P Squared. It looks like all three of these came in at an appropriate time. Ergon is located here in town on Robert Nance Road. Cleveland Asphalt is in Shepherd, Texas, and P Squared is in Elm Mott. Of those three vendors, all three provided a non-collusion affidavit. Ergon and P Squared provided lobbying certifications. Cleveland did not. And all three stated or completed their conflict of interest questionnaire. General liability insurance, does the no mean that they wouldn't provide it, didn't have it, or they just didn't supply it? They did not provide.
And with regard to the lobbying, that's only required if we're going to enter into a contract with them over $100,000.
Well, what about general liability insurance? Can we still do business with them?
That's at the court's decision. If they deliver it to us, John Mark is of the opinion, John Mark Coburn, our county attorney, that it's not any different than Amazon delivering or the Coke-Man delivering. So that's at the decision of the court. I don't believe in the past we've required them to have that information.
Okay.
They may have it, but we've not required them to provide it.
Have we ever done business with Cleveland or P Squared, to your knowledge?
We have P2, yes.
P2, okay.
But as far as Cleveland, no, I don't know of anybody that has used them.
Is that I noticed Elm Mott down there by Waco, was
Yes.
that special stuff that you started a couple of years ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what that one is. Okay.
Judge Lee, you'll see on page 10, the reason these items weren't included over there with the road oil, these are completely different items. When you read through these items, you'll see it's not the same thing as what we had over there on those other pages.
Okay. All right. Let's look at these emulsified asphalt. This is per gallon. Delivered versus picked up. The delivered prices, Ergon in Mount Pleasant delivered 3.23, Cleveland Asphalt 3.12, and P2 is 2.96. Picked up, Ergon 305, Cleveland Asphalt 290, and P2 268. Emulsion CSS-1H. This is a stabilizer as opposed to the P2S1. Ergon, Cleveland, and P2. We have delivered Ergon 323, 312, Cleveland Asphalt 296, P2. If it's picked up, it's Ergon 305, Cleveland 290, and P2 is 268. It looks like same prices as the other product. Emulsified asphalt per gallon. We have products CRS-2 and 2P. Ergon is 323 delivered, Cleveland is 312 delivered, P2 is 329 delivered. If it's picked up, 305, Ergon 290 Cleveland, and P2 301. Will these delivered prices be this, even though they're having to come from a lot further away?
We're going to have to add the fuel surcharge.
So that may make
Yes.
Elmont,
from Shepherd.
not quite the
And the other thing I
winner.
need to call to your attention is all of the P2 emulsions bids are alternate. It's not necessarily the emulsion CSS-1. Their product that they believe is similar is P2-S1. And the same thing for emulsion CSS-1H, P2 calls a stabilizer. And then over on the emulsion CRS2, P2 calls that CWE-2. I'm sure you're familiar with that, Chief.
So that is an alternative emulsified asphalt
Yes.
product.
And Mr. Parker uses it occasionally, but I don't believe our other commissioners have
Okay.
used that in that. You have? Okay.
All right, well, that CRS-2P, we only have a bid from Ergon at $363 and Cleveland at $372. Or if it's picked up, Ergon $345, Cleveland $350. All right, here's some other charges related to emulsified asphalt. Demurrage, $90 per hour from Ergon, $80 from Cleveland, and $80 from P2. Minimum purchases, $5,500 from Ergon, $5,000 from each of Cleveland and P2. Note number one, Ergon, this bid is for full transport loads of 5,500 gallons. Freight is based on a full transport load, even if a full load is not ordered. Note two from Cleveland, freight options and size of load prices are based off of a minimum of 5,000. For smaller quantities, please call. And then note three, smaller quantities are available, but subject to freight differentials of 25 cents per gallon if less than 5,000. And then pump and hose per load, a $90 charge from Ergon and P2. Environmental fees that must be added. From Ergon, we've got 49.77 cents per ton, and on emulsion loads, it looks like 0.0015 per gallon, so minimal. And then a diversion fee of $250 provided by Ergon. Okay, do we need, so going on, are these different products under this P2 emulsions sheet?
They just included that so that the commissioners would know all the options.
That's just showing the other different products that they have?
Yes, sir.
You can buy it at the plant or a drum. All right, that's all I've got.
I have one thing to add, Justin, because this is through the American Rescue Plan. You see a sample contract, there's one on page 13. Every vendor that we approve here will have to sign this sample contract. We've not required them to do that in the past because we were doing state and local purchasing. But for federal purchasing, we're going to have to get these vendors to sign this. Now, they saw this was in the bid packet. That's why it went from 18 pages to 30-something pages. It shouldn't be, there's nothing new here that they've not seen before. It's just something new that we're going to have to do.
And surely they saw lots of these with lots of counties getting bids from them under ARP.
What I noticed was vendors who seem to do large, like TxDOT contracts, they're very familiar. No, very few questions. But our local vendors who mostly supply local needs had not seen that before.
Probably so.
That's what I was fixing to say, the people like Ergon and P2 and all of them, they see this every year from TxDOT because they have to do a federal procurement.
Okay.
And so
Nothing new. All right.
they're familiar with this. All of our other folks that we've dealt with in the past, or I'll say all of them, some of them haven't seen it, so that makes a difference.
All right, I would think that a similar motion would be in order to accept the low bid with the freedom to go with the second lowest bid in the event that there's a supply problem.
Make a motion to purchase, agree with these bids for the emulsions, to go with the lowest bid, and if we can't get the lowest bid to supply, we go with the second bid.
I just go with, we go with whoever got it, can get it.
Whoever's the lowest at any point in time.
Well, whoever, but, it's availability too, though. Put all three of them may be able to put it on there, but all three of them may not be able to deliver it, even though they're not the highest price.
So your suggestion he modify that to expand it to the ability to go buy from the third one. Whoever is the cheapest that has it available.
And available, because a lot of times there's no way, they're not even running sometimes, so. Let's make a motion to accept the bids.
Say the lowest of the
The
vendor
lowest
that is
of the
available.
vendors who bid on availability.
And there's one more thing, Judge Lee. Each commissioner has the opportunity to evaluate a product, and if you, or someone delivers to you, or if you go check it and you don't think that it meets the requirements that you have, you can even have that tested by an independent lab if you decide to do that. There can also be a visual inspection. So if you look at it, even if it's the lowest price, but you don't think it meets the needs of the county, you can move on to the next vendor. That's also in the documents.
I've had to do that on some of my oil sand. I just wasn't getting what was holding up, and so I looked at it and I went to the next one, and I've had no problem with it.
All right, so I had a motion, but I don't think I had a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And then lastly is agenda item 11C. This is culverts. All right, related to our culverts, we had these notices published on July 27th and August 3rd. There was an August 15th deadline. The bids were opened on August 16th. We received only one bid from National Wholesale Supply, and they sent in their bid on August 10th, so they made it in time. They did have a non-collusion affidavit, a conflict of interest statement, but no general liability insurance is stated. All right, here are your prices. Do we always pick up? They don't deliver, is that right?
We always picked up.
We always pick
always
these
pick
up,
up.
so the insurance is not as much of a concern then.
Because if you put it out on the side of the road, somebody's going to steal it. So it's
Okay.
the best us pick it up.
All right, these are plastic culverts, double walled. Price is per foot picked up at the National Wholesale Supply in Mount Pleasant, not a delivery option. Let me run down these. We've got 12-inch through 60-inch. 12 inches, $7.205. 15 inches is $10.57. 18 inches, $14.31. 24 inches is $23.38. 30 inches is $33.33. 36 inch is $44.34. A 42 would be $60.47. A 48 inch would be $64.75, and a 60 inch culvert would be per foot $122.57.
I'd make note too that this is considerably higher than, I know the 12-inch was five something, but it's going up to
At
720.
least a 20% increase.
Judge Lee, National Wholesale also provided us, if you look on pages 3, 4, and 5 of 8 there, where we're at right now, the list of all the other items that they had provided to us, and included those. It says quotation, but it's just their current pricing.
Items we didn't necessarily ask for, but they just gave you their whole
Yes, sir.
list of products they could provide for you. Who have we been able to buy from in the past that did not bid this time?
Mr. Holmes, out of
Yeah, yeah.
If y'all read the bid package, you said that there were specific dates that vendors were required to contact my office by email with questions. I cannot respond to phone calls. He had to send that to us. He called us on the very last day with a phone call, not with an email, with questions. And I cannot answer that because I have to be able, that has to come to my office, and then I have to contact every vendor that we send a packet to and put it on our website in order to meet the requirements of the American Rescue Plan. So he did not submit a bid. In the past, his bid has always included, I say always, for the past, since 20, it's included an allowance for an increase in the price of the product. These bids do not allow for a price for an increase in the price of the product, only an increase if there were to be fuel charges. So he did not choose to submit.
So what does that mean? We are limited to one supplier, or can we still contact Holmes and say, what's your price on this
If we're going to
today?
purchase through the American Rescue Plan, we have to
Have to
only
go
do this
with-
vendor. If we're going to do something, for other funding sources, like your regular budget, you could contact both, but you're going to have to document that. You're going to have to say, here's National Wholesale, and here's what someone else can do. However, National Wholesale is probably not going to be happy with you. They took the time to go
Yeah.
through this process and answer all these questions, and
Well, due to availability, a lot of times they don't have the product.
if it's not available, then you have a different option. Yes, and that's all you would need to tell me to make, but then we still could not fund that through American Rescue Plan. It would have to come through your regular budget. This American Rescue Plan has a lot of strings attached.
Clearly.
Margaret, what American do.
I'm sorry.
They've got so many days to deliver that product as well. And then on the American part of that, they just got so many days to deliver that product.
Within 3 days of when the commissioner and the vendor agree.
And so the problem there too, with those vendors, not want to do, not being able to do that measure of code already.
Right, well,
It's too much.
of when they agree. So if they call on Monday and say, I need to get this, if the contractor and the commissioner agrees, well, I can't get it till next Monday, that's fine. It's not late until 3 days after that. So it gives them a little leeway. Yeah.
All right, so be real careful that you've got real good reason and you're real comfortable if you're buying outside of this one sole bidder. But we do need to take action here on the culvert supplier.
I make a motion to accept National Wholesale.
Motion is made by Commissioner Applewhite to approve bids from and accept from National Wholesale.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that concludes the approval of bids, so let me package this back up. While I'm thinking about it, this is the order to adopt the tax rate. If we can stop for a moment and get your signature so that nobody gets away without me reminding you to sign it. item number 12. Dennis Newman approached Paul Lindsay and myself a couple of weeks ago just to tell us that we've got some old digital video recording equipment. That includes the DVR itself, that includes the cameras that we've been using for in excess of 10 years. It looks like 2011 we installed the first of these. And there's much better equipment out there, much better clarity, and here's some of his comments. This is a proposal to upgrade the surveillance system, which is starting to exhibit problems due to its age. The Toshiba digital video recorder has reached the end of its life because Toshiba has gotten out of the surveillance industry and they've discontinued support. In fact, they did that 5 years ago. This unit was originally installed in 2011, and some of the hard drives have been replaced, but all of the drives have significant age on them at this time. His recommendation is that we install a new CoStar high-definition DVR, which will allow 1080p, I guess that's the highest resolution, from the newer type cameras without having to run new wire from each DVR to each of the cameras. That would be very labor intensive. So he's saying, you know, we can use this combination of better cameras and a better DVR with the existing coax that we've got run to each location. I will replace some of the existing cameras with high definition cameras, and they are listed below. This is the same brand digital video recorder that supports the parking lot cameras and would allow the personnel that are monitoring the cameras to view all of the cameras on one browser screen. So I guess when you get all those different squares there on a screen and you don't have good clarity, it makes it difficult. But these new cameras and the new DVR would give enough clarity where you could put all those cameras on one browser screen. This system also allows filtering of certain cameras so that personnel can only view cameras that are designated to their area of work. I've got two proposals here, and I want to be sure I'm carefully handling those. This is the cheaper of the two bids, and I'll explain why. This proposal would replace 4 cameras on the first floor lobby that looks at the 4 different entrances. It replaces the camera outside the courtroom door on the second floor, and it replaces the camera inside the courtroom on the second floor. That total cost would be $4,365 in material, $1,040 in labor, for a total of $5,405. This is a 2-year parts warranty, 1-year labor warranty on all installed equipment. All warranties exclude lightning, power surges, brownouts, other acts of God, and customer employee abuse or negligence. Now, he's given us a second bid in case we're interested, and this would be more expansive as far as the number of cameras. It would still replace the 4 cameras on the first floor lobby. It would replace 4 outside box cameras, each of which view the steps on the outside. And those would be high definition bullet cameras. It would replace the cameras outside the courtroom door and inside the courtroom of the second floor. It replaces the camera on the elevator entrance room at the ground level. It replaces the mini camera on the 4th floor outside the juvenile probation office door, and it replaces the 3 cameras in the clerk's office. So you've got quite a few more cameras, and according to Dennis, this would basically replace all the cameras on this block that cover the exterior and the interior at specific locations of the main courthouse. That would be a grand total of $8,466. So basically $3,060 additional. That breaks down to $6,516 in materials and $1,950 in labor costs. So again, the cheaper bid at $5,400 gets you 4 cameras in the lobby, 1 outside the courtroom door, and 1 inside the courtroom. The other gives you several more cameras, outdoor cameras, on the elevator entrance, clerk's office, and juvenile probation, $8,466, same warranties. So probably a pretty good idea after 10 years to replace this. There's no point in replacing some of them, I don't think. If we can replace all of them, doesn't seem to be that much more expensive to get all new equipment that has much better clarity.
Do we have any security money, Barbara, we can use for some of these cameras?
I don't think we have much.
Pretty low.
It's not very much. I mean, we exhausted that fund.
I'd be
last
surprised.
year.
I didn't know we had any, but
We exhausted that fund last year and just did whatever revenue we take in each year. But that could be the first place that we look to fund this, and then we could fund the rest of it through just general courthouse money.
could we get it in, find some room in this year's budget?
I think so.
Probably so.
I make a motion that we do the bigger package with more cameras.
Okay, $8,466 to replace 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cameras versus 6 cameras. Motion by Commissioner Fitch to replace cameras and DVR, 15 total cameras at a total price of $8,466.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
So Judge Lee, if we have funds within the security, you want us to use those funds?
If you have funds in there, and if not, we'll see what other accounts, including, anything that we could use to try to get in this year. Did we vote on that? Yeah, okay. Item number 13, discuss a preliminary design of the proposed exterior facade renovation. We talked about this at the meeting 1 week ago when I presented you those drawings, and the common theme that came out of that discussion was, the little parklet over there in front of the far east end of the building was nice, but it was going to take up, we thought, 2 parking places. It actually takes up 3 parking places. I contacted Bryce with Texas Historic Commission, asked him about bringing that up onto the sidewalk. And when I went over there and measured it, we have 14 feet from the curb to the wall. We would have to come in at least a foot off of that curb. That parklet had a width of about 8 feet, which then gives you 9 feet off the curb, and that leaves you about 5 feet left of walking space. He said, and his boss, Jamie, also agreed that wouldn't be a smart thing to do. So I went also and had a meeting, or he came to me. I had a meeting with District Attorney David Colley and showed him this and went over all this, and he said, you know what, that's neat, but here's the problem I've got with it. The kind of folks that we have showing up for these trials and for these docket calls are going to be congregating down there in that parklet area. I'm not very comfortable having folks drawn towards that end of the building when we have our judges driving in and entering their private entrance on that east end of the building. He just said from a safety standpoint, Whether you leave it on the street or whether you bring it up on the curb, I would ask you not to do that. I haven't even bothered talking to the judges about this after he made that comment. So, again, the negatives were you got 3 parking places there you're going to eliminate, and the DA thinking it's not a good idea. He liked all the other benches. He likes everything else about it. Just didn't like that congregating area down there on the east end with the parklet. So that seemed to be what all of you all agreed, that parking is too much of a premium to eliminate that. I think that feeling was further supported by David Colley's feelings. So what you want to do from here, we don't have to, we're not approving the project right now. At best, what I would see happening is if you like this idea and we're in agreement to remove the parklet, I think then it becomes time, the Historic Commission's responsibility or the scope of the work for us, which is provided at no cost, is then finished. They've given you some artist renderings of what they think would look good. It will now be up to us to hire an architect to put this into a format that actually describes, all the exact measurements, the materials, different options, paint colors, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, those are very specific instructions that could then be given to a contractor for a complete job and a complete bid. So don't know if you're ready to do that or not. Don't know if you want to proceed with that, but I think the next step would be to probably go out for, with a request for qualifications from architects. That would be an RFQ because you're talking about professional services. You would interview some interested architects, and then you would make a selection, and then they would give you their price, is how that's typically done. Is that right?
And because we plan to use American Rescue Plan funds for this, this will again be a federal RFQ. But my understanding is that Mark Taylor is now going to be doing those. I did his road materials and oils because he was not familiar with doing one particular item at a time. He's used to them coming in and doing 15 miles of roads. So my understanding is that he would prepare that bid packet for you that meets those federal regulations. The RFQ and then.
Yeah, which is not really a bid because they're not giving you a bid. In fact, they don't give you a dollar price at all. They just say, here's our qualifications, here's why we would be your best choice to do this project. And, 2 or 3 firms come to mind. There's a firm out of Hughes Springs that's done work for, I know they've done work for First Baptist Church. You've possibly got Prefert Complex Designs. I don't know who they might utilize. I think you've got KSA Engineering, and I'm sure that there will be others that would be interested in something like this, although it's a relatively small project. But yes, you're right. That is one of the things we specifically lined out in our ARP fund, so this would have to go through Mark with his assistants to be sure that RFQ and then later on the bids for that project are done properly.
I'll make a motion that we go out for the federal RFQ bids where architect move forward with it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Fitch saying the next step would be to solicit interest from capable architects for this job through the utilizing ARPA standards with the help of Mark Taylor with Traylor and Associates.
Second.
Was that a Commissioner Applewhite seconds? Any conversation, more discussion on this? So we're a long way of knowing what this will cost. We're a long way of knowing exactly what the finished product will look like, or even who the person that would do the work is, but this is the first step in the process. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're down to item 14, approve oral and written reports.
Make a motion, we approve the reports.
Motion's made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parchman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 15 is consider and possibly approve the treasurer's report.
Make that motion.
And motion's made by Commissioner Applewhite to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 16, approve budget amendments. We have budget amendments number 25, 26, and 27. So I'll start with 25. This relates to the acceptance of that donation from Jackson Oil. So that recognizes a revenue from the donation, $4,500 worth, and we'll apply that to the culverts budget. So that increases availability of culvert dollars in line with that receipt from Jackson Oil for those 3 former gas tanks. Item number 26 affects precinct line budgets in precincts 1, 2, and 3, and 4. In precinct 1, we're going to take out money from the seminars budget, $1,435, and other road materials, $18,000. We're going to allocate that $19,435 amongst equipment rental for $6,000 and gravel and rock for $13,435. In precinct 2, we're going to pull money from the road oil budget, put it into other road materials, $40,000. We're going to take $10,000 out of shared equipment repairs and put it into repairs within precinct 2. In precinct 3, we're going to pull $17,500 out of contingency, and is that the Main County contingency or his contingency?
That's his contingency. Each commissioner starts with the $50,000.
50,000. Okay, 50,000. I couldn't remember that.
And he's already made a plan for his other funds.
So pull 17,500 out of precinct 3's contingency, 15,000 out of his other road materials, and then put it into road oil, total of $32,500. And then in precinct 4, we're going to take $550 out of the utilities gas budget and put it into utilities electricity, $550. Then we'll pull $6,000 out of steel roller rental and put it into other road materials, $6,000 worth. And then the last number 27 budget amendment is to increase the medical claims runoff with an offsetting decrease to fund balance in the Insurance Employees Benefit Fund to cover the cost to repay insurance claims that were billed by medical facilities to Medicare that should have been billed to Titus County. To try to give you the short version explanation here, we talked about 2 years ago is how long do you leave funds in the medical insurance when we were self-funded? How long do you leave monies in there before you wipe that account down to zero? And we assumed, in fact, several months ago, we assumed that those claims were surely over with, but lo and behold, we did have one pop up And it took so long to go through the system that it finally made it to us, I guess, 2 years later or thereabouts? 3 years later, thereabouts. But that's how slow the government works. And when they tried to bill Medicare, that was inappropriate because in this case, there was county insurance, and so Medicare was not the proper entity to get billed by that. So we're talking about $1,266. That would be the third and final of those three, number 25, 26, and 27.
Make a motion, we approve the budget amendments.
Motion to approve is made by Commissioner Parchman.
Question.
Second by Commissioner Fitch.
Got a question.
Yeah.
On that shared equipment, we all gonna be able to do that? Take 10,000 out of that? Or,
Whatever you think, yeah.
yeah, out of the
Only
shared
got about
equipment.
6 more weeks, you know.
Well, yeah.
Can I jump in right here?
Yes.
That shared equipment set aside for y'all to pay for shared equipment items. I will be doing a budget amendment for countywide use, either at the first meeting in September or the second. And I have a note here to get with all of you other commissioners to allow you to access those funds as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Mr. Fitch asked for it first. Now, I understand he's visited with y'all about that, and you're all good with it. But yes, you can use those funds to go as you need them. That's good. Because they're your funds for your precinct.
I was kind of waiting to see what that water truck was going to cost,
Yeah.
getting a new motor in it, so
Runs good.
worked out a little less than I thought.
While you, let's go ahead and vote on this, and then I want to come back to that, just a housekeeping item. So, where were we here? That was the only question you had? All right.
Got a second?
All in favor, say aye. You mentioned that first meeting in September. I will not be here. What else? I was trying to keep that a fairly clean agenda just to make it easy. Is that possible to move that to the second? You really want to do it on the first? It really just involves the commissioners and not me about that, but is there any?
I'll look at the entire budget, Judge Lee. I'll look at their budget, not look at the entire countywide budget.
Okay.
If we have any line items that are over, and there's money within that departmental budget, we'll go ahead and cover those.
Okay. Could we tentatively plan that to be the second meeting of September? Okay.
Happy to do that.
All right. Good deal. All right. Item number 17, sign pay orders and approve payments.
Make a motion to pay our bills.
Motion is made by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Closing comments, number 18. I had something I was thinking about. Reminder that next Monday, a week from today, we'll have a fourth Commissioners Court meeting in a row. This one will be a workshop to discuss the fire protection agreement that Commissioner Applewhite and I have been in attendance, as well as Judge-elect Cooper. We'll have Barbara here at that workshop meeting next Monday, and then we will have our next meeting with the city the day after that. So okay, yeah. So again, that'll be an important workshop where we can kind of share some of our questions and concerns about the fire contract with the rest of the Commissioners Court, in hopes that maybe we can come back with the ability to continue on discussions with the city in an effort to try to bring that fire contract to where it's executable by before the end of the contract period, which is September 30th. So don't forget that. That'll be next Monday at 9 a.m. Also, at that time, Nathan Tafoya will be here at that next Monday meeting, and I'll have him on, talk to us right before we begin discussions on the fire contract. And he's going to bring back some additional information that I think will be of interest to you regarding our consideration of funding the Mount Pleasant EDC. I think it'll clear up some questions that we have, but nonetheless, that'll be the second of the 2 agenda items there on that special meeting next Monday. That's all I've got. Commissioner Parchment?
No comment.
Commissioner Fitch? Commissioner Applewhite? Commissioner Parker? No, sir. All right. Thank you very much. With a motion, I will adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion, Commissioner Parchment.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.